Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mitch Taco Bell. I am the host of Tall Tales with Taco Bell. Good afternoon. On this Tuesday, it is my 80th show, and I felt that this was kind of important. I wanted to do a special podcast on gas. This weekend, I drove my awesome little armored vehicle around with my buddy Michael Costanza. And if you guys can see a picture of this thing, it's a big beast. Well, you know what? It costs a ton of money to fill up an armored vehicle, kind of like a tank. I mean, it gets a whopping 8 tons. It gets about 5 miles to the gallon. So it does cost some money. Now, why do I have that? Because I can. It's called open carry in Texas. And Cortez up there, AOC, can pound sand. But what really made me start thinking about it was the outrageous gas prices that we're having right now out across the country. I was out in California. It was $6.50 for a gallon of gas. Now, I know we're not even near what the English and my buddies over in the UK pay for fuel. And that's not even a gallon. That's like an imperial liter or something. So it does bother me because what we're being told and what is the truth are two different things. And you're never going to see this on Fox, CNN, or anything else. Maybe Fox, but nobody else is really covering this. Maybe Newsmax. I want to bring on a good buddy of mine, Rob Todd, who is a former Navy vet, also worked with on flight deck with F-14s back in the day. I've had him on the podcast earlier. And as we're sitting there shooting the bull about gas prices, he starts to tell me things, having 16 years of experience in the oil fields, that I just want to pass on to you. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Rob on. How you doing, brother?
Good, Mitch. How you doing? Great
Hey,
to be here.
I'm doing well. Listen, let's go back 16 years when you got out of the Navy and you started working in the oil fields. What was it like back then?
Oh, it was a little bit different. We had come out of it was pretty slow for oil and gas in the 90s as well, but I was in the Navy, so I didn't really pay attention to it. But I got out, and where I live in Wyoming, that's a major part of everything that Wyoming is all natural resources: oil, coal, gas. And so I was kind of interested in that time. I also worked on rigs when I was in college to pay for school.
Right.
And, hardest job I'd ever done prior to my military experience. And so in addition to that, I knew that was a decent market to go into.
Yeah.
And, when I got out of the Navy, that seemed like a pretty good route to go.
Well, I tell you, I mean, oil rig guys, those are tough crowd up there, aren't they?
Well, working 24 hours a day in the military, it was like we only have to work 12-hour days. That's easy. That's not.
Well, you and I, when we were discussing oil prices, and I had heard this, that we have 9,000 leases approved from Jen Psaki. Why aren't the oil companies drilling on these leases? And and I have heard the talking head say, well, because of this or this or this. But what is your insight on to the
Well,
reasons?
first of all, Taco, these people have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. I mean, these people, and they live in a bubble compared to what you and I do. You really think Jen Psaki fills up her vehicle every day?
No.
Or any of these politicians? You think they fill up a vehicle every day? Do you think they care of the normal things that you and I consider important? They do
No.
not. And
No. She has a driver, I'm sure.
exactly. So, and if you think of that in the context of how of the life that we live and the life that they live, it's completely opposite. So I don't think they even know what it means to even fill up a car.
Well,
But
let's talk about that. I mean, when we say, okay, let's increase oil production,
right.
what does an oil company have to do to actually accomplish that?
Well, the thing that people don't understand, and I'll just give you an example of a recent event, is the rigs that I go to, and especially I just started my business in Texas. When you go to a rig, it gives you on my app, it gives you a line out of when that permit was drawn and when the well was spudded or the well was started.
Mhm.
So 99% of the rigs that I went to, their permits were drawn when Trump was president. It's been 5 years for that well to be able to be drilled.
And so what takes so long? What's the holdup with the permit?
Soon as a oil and gas company makes a permit or makes a draw for a permit,
Yeah.
There is an environmental company that immediately files a lawsuit. Immediately. As soon as they see that, and that's public record, they can look up and see what company drew the lease, where it was. Same thing. As soon as they see that, boom, they drop a lawsuit to protest that well being drilled. So that increases the cost right there because they have to pay for litigation in court to get that permit.
You're just talking about any old oil rig that you see
It
out
doesn't
there.
matter where it is or what it is. As soon as those permits are made public record, boom, there's a lawsuit to protest against it.
Jeez.
That's what people don't understand. And if you think about it, you have 9,000 wells. Do you think an oil and gas company is so stupid to where they're going to sit on that lease and not make money off it? That's what they're in business to do. That's what they do. They make oil and gas. They produce oil and gas in order to produce income, keep their shareholders happy. If that's not keeping you think they're going to say, no, we're not going to drill that? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, let's back up to the election just a few years, a year ago, right?
Year ago.
It's crazy. Going on two years, maybe.
Yeah.
When Trump, well, actually, let's go back to 2016. When Trump was elected,
right?
His attitude and his administration's attitude towards oil and gas companies was night and day from what we see right now. But as soon as that, right before the election, what was the feeling amongst all the companies towards having President Hillary Clinton?
Well, I'll just tell you, with Obama, we had two significant oil crashes during the Obama. The first one when he came in, which was based on speculation of what he might do, because when these politicians say, "I'm going to shut down oil and gas drilling," or if you start a coal company, I'm going to bankrupt you. We need to listen to that stuff because they mean what they say. And that's exactly what Obama did. And then because of that, he shut down all federal land drilling. Same thing that Biden did. That's probably where Biden got the idea, was because Obama did the exact same thing. First day in office, that's the first thing he did. Shut down all federal leases. Now, what that does is if you have a supply here and you cut that supply goes to here. So whatever was available, which is making volume, which means the price to a stable area at least, soon as they say that, boom, that cuts that down. So that immediately, supply and demand, that raises the price. Right. And then you go from that, in addition to what he did with oil and gas was one thing, but then all these, and then this is when all this environmental stuff started, was where he made it available to where courts would hear all these cases. So every time somebody drops a permit, somebody drops a lawsuit. And that was made okay during the Obama years. Well, when Joe Biden came in, what's the first thing Joe Biden did? Shut down the XL pipeline.
And what exactly was the Keystone and the XL pipeline?
Well, Keystone and XL are two different. They're actually two different pipelines, but they come. One from Canada goes to Cushing, Oklahoma, and the Cushing, Oklahoma goes from there to Port Arthur, Texas. That's the part of the pipeline that is done. What was being built, and I actually had a contract for that as well, and I lost all that work the day this president was inaugurated. As soon as they were going to finish that, which is bringing oil from the Canadian tar sands, which isn't very good oil. It's pretty sticky and dirty. It's not like North Dakota crude is really sweet, and it's easier to refine than that Canadian stuff. But they were going to join that with the oil coming from North Dakota, and and a pipeline is just not one single pipeline. There's like 2 or 3 or 4 different subsections if you look at it, and all that was supposed to be subterranean. It was supposed to be below ground. So there was going to be no, environmental impact, but they always want to attack that because it makes it look like we're destroying the lands that actually it came across. And remember all the stuff with the Indian tribes?
Yeah.
About the pipeline going across their land. All the protesters going in there and protesting that pipeline, they did more damage to the landscape than the actual pipeline did going across their land. They said those people left so much trash in those areas where they were at. It actually killed the ecosystem there.
Well, that was probably just, hey, pay us more
It was.
to run the
It was.
pipeline through
It
their
was, but
extortion.
it wasn't only the tribes. It was every other protesting group in the country that could possibly go there and make, because they're not working. That's all they
Uh-huh.
do. Professional protesters. They went up there and they just trashed that place.
So the Keystone is bringing crude from
Canada.
Canada,
But they were
and
going
then
to
the key
add, they were going to, and now think about this. At the same time, that oil still has to be transported. So how's it being transported?
Warren Buffett train.
Exactly. That was a payback to Biden for all of his dealings with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is he's going to be concerned about his industry, which is railroads. He owns almost all the railroads. But in addition to
Right.
that, what do you think's hard on the environment or per se? So it has nothing to do with the environment, Taco. It is about paybacks to special interest groups, which it's more expensive to truck or train, than it is to send it by pipeline. But
Yeah, I
these
believe
people
that.
don't know that. They don't understand that.
And that's just the XL. So the
That's
Keystone,
just the XL
or
pipeline.
that's the Keystone
The
pipeline. The
Keystone pipeline.
XL was natural gas, right?
Well, there's different subsections. I mean, obviously, natural gas is not going to be transported in an oil pipeline.
Sure.
It has its own separate entity. So yeah, but natural gas is pulled off of. It's just basically a byproduct of what's coming out of the ground. But if you think about it, what is oil? It's a natural resource.
Yeah.
It comes out of the earth. I mean, that is what everything you think about. That's what everything is powered upon.
Well, why are we buying oil from Canada in the first place, flowing it down from there?
That's part of the. If you think about it, you think about the. Well, you have the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Well, it's the same thing. NAFTA and
Mm.
George Bush started all that. Same thing. There's a little bit of corruption in there too. NAFTA started that. We started trading. They want Canada, United States, and Mexico to all be one. One conglomerate. They don't want sovereign. And you see what's going on with the border. Same thing. They want that border to be dissolved. That way, we're all one. You know, the America is one solid piece. Canada, America, and Mexico. They don't want the U.S. as a sovereign country.
Yeah. Well, you always hear, I hear about the Keystone Pipeline was canceled by Biden, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And then I started thinking of that question, though. But why are we buying oil from Canada? So that makes
But in
sense.
addition, that like I said, that's part of NAFTA and the trades that we have there. But if you think about it, all the oil in North Dakota, I mean, that's second in production to West Texas. I mean, the oil price is built on WTI, which is West Texas Intermediate oil. But
Right.
North Dakota's a close second. And all that oil has to go somewhere. But if you look at it, they were going to do a pipeline to Seattle too, and then ship it to. We had so much production under Trump. And think about it. What was I averaged it out? I can even look back into my records and I can see where oil prices were when Trump was president. It was between $55 and $60 a barrel, and it should
Mhm.
never ever go above that. The only reason it does is artificial boost. Supply is cut.
Hurricane hits the refinery down in
Hurricane.
Houston.
It's the same thing. Like when a hurricane is
Yeah.
into the Gulf, same thing. Oil prices increase because they know the supply is going to be drawn down drastically quickly, but then it rebounds.
Mhm.
It's kind of a rebound effect. As soon as that leaves, oil prices resume back to what they're, that normal plateau where they should be. They should never be as high as they are right now.
Yeah. I mean, what is it now? $110 a barrel? I don't
It
even
was
know.
104. I think I got a alert on my phone this morning. It was 104.71, but that changes. That'll go up and down through the day, as traders, watch what's going on.
Yeah, I don't understand it. So everybody that voted for President Biden, hey, good on you. You spent your vote. You didn't like Trump. That's great.
Yep.
But now he goes
That's
off and he cancels all this stuff, and then we're importing oil from Russia.
right.
How does it?
Which
How
is
does that work?
you remember in the debate when Biden and Trump were talking about who are the enemies of the United States, and Trump
Yeah.
said Russia is our enemy, and they were, and they still are. And that's hardly ever changed. But Putin's been all about reimagining the Soviet Union since he came into power. He's still upset, number one, that Soviet Union was reduced without a shot fired.
Well,
Right? Brought them to
yeah,
their knees without a shot fired.
yeah, but we basically we basically bankrupt them.
We
I
did.
mean, we did it to ourselves in Afghanistan after 20 years as well.
Yes.
$1 billion
Same thing.
a month over there.
Well, it's
But
like, how come he okayed the pipeline going through Ukraine into Europe, but then he shut down our pipeline? Is there less impact on the environment over in Europe than there is in the United States? It's all political BS.
yeah,
It's all it is. It doesn't make any sense.
well, what would it take though to get us back into the production cycle that we were when President Trump was in?
Well, number one, open all the federal leases again, which
Mhm.
that is, I mean, like Wyoming, my home state, is all, it's almost all the oil drilling is BLM land. That's all federal land. Now, there are tons of people that own, sections around that is affected by that too. But when you cut down that, then you go to private land drilling. So then oil and gas companies are paying massive royalties to people who own those land or own mineral rights on that land. And they should, they should be reimbursed for that at a very high rate. So that raises the price of oil too, because every single one of those leases are a speculation based on what that oil is. Well, before it was $50 a barrel. Now it's $100 a barrel. So if it was worth 10 million, now it's worth 20 million.
So it's worth more to go ahead and drill it now, though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Are they doing that? Do you know? I mean, are you seeing a rise in production?
It takes a little while to get that going because the infrastructure is not there, and it's been reduced. It was reduced under Obama, and then it takes a while to get that back.
What about the regulations? What regulations have been put in place? Yeah, but what regulations do you know?
Remember when Trump passed a regulation, you have to repeal 2 regulations? That's never happened. Never. And what that did for oil and gas was there was such a boom of, and even at the low oil price of 55, I think the highest I ever saw under Trump was $62 a barrel. And I was always worried, well, God, if oil's this low, production's not going to be. But then I was getting contract after contract after contract, and people calling for work. And I was like, how come is that? And then I started to realize that even at that same level, you don't have the boot of the federal government on your neck telling you what you could produce and what you can't produce. And that was the biggest thing that he did and I was not a Trump fan when he first came in. I didn't know anything about him. All I knew about him was The Apprentice. That's not a whole lot of biography there. But the things that he did for oil and gas to open it up, and then to do all the things that he did in order to get that production flowing again. That's why oil and gas was so low at such a productive time.
I mean, I'm
busier.
$1.70 a gallon. It was like, woohoo!
Yeah.
Now,
I normally spend about $10,000 a month on fuel. Right now, I'm in about $18,000 a month for fuel.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove my diesel down a couple hours to an air show to take the ferret.
Yes.
And I think I paid $250 in gas, 6 hours.
Yeah, when you pull the trailer, it's twice as, you're getting literally half fuel mileage.
Yeah, that thing's 4 tons too. But it really hurt the pocketbook. And now, we have 4 drivers in our household, and that's weekly. I'm driving the DFW back and forth every week and filling up the car, and it's $70, $80 to fill up.
There's no reason for it.
Price was stupid.
It is. They are artificially increasing the price to try and force our hand into something else that is not even ready for what they're asking for.
Well, that's Green New Deal stuff. We talk Green New Deal in terms of AOC and what they want. The infrastructure can't even handle it. I mean, you look at California; those guys have rolling blackouts every summer, and they can't even handle their air conditioning
because they know it's getting tight.
Yeah, so I mean, how are you going to have electric cars charging? And what produces the electricity to store in the batteries?
Well, if you ever look at any of those charging stations, what is behind those charging stations?
Yeah, where do they get the energy from?
It's a diesel power generator. You think about that. Think
Yeah.
about the hypocrisy there, or you think about what they're trying to do. They're trying to force. It's very similar to what the British was trying to do to us in the Revolutionary War. I mean, we went to war over sugar, tea, stamps, and representation.
Hmm.
Now they're telling us they want us to not drive the way we drive because they want to take away our ability to move, ability to communicate. Same thing as COVID. They didn't take away Walmart. They took away churches. They took away bars. They took away restaurants, which is where people talk, communicate. Same thing happened in the Revolutionary War. That's where revolution was fomented, was in the bars. That's where they got together and said, we are not going to stand for this.
Yeah, but
So
strip clubs, they were okay.
the strip clubs are okay. I mean, does that make
Yeah.
any sense? Churches are not okay, but strip clubs are okay.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
severe
Yeah.
disconnect there with the American people. And you know what? They're slowly starting to wake up, and it's not about political party. It's about, do you want to live in a free country still, or do you want to live under? Mark Levin said it best. He said, the new green is the old red. And it's about communism.
Who's
It's
in
about
control?
price control. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I read somewhere that there's over 500 years worth of oil just under, our fields in Texas or up in
Oh, there
North
is so
Dakota.
much. There is so much
500 years worth.
thing
I
to
mean,
do in
we'll
oil
all
right
be
now.
long dead. Our great
Yeah.
grandkids will be long dead by then. And
Yeah.
hopefully by then, 500 years, maybe they've come up with tiny nuclear individual power plants that can power an airplane or power a train or, bus or a
Well, I
car.
saw a meme the other day, and this explains it perfectly. The day Air Force One flies on a battery or a windmill,
Yeah.
then you can tell me how you want me to transport myself in and around this country. But we fought for that freedom, and that freedom is what they are the most against. They do not like the fact that we can go where we want, do what we want. And I don't know where this came from, but I will tell you this: we are in danger of losing everything that we really take for granted
Yeah.
every day.
Well, I, just 2 days ago, I was talking to Todd. He's a buddy of mine down in Hamilton.
Yeah,
He's a farmer,
yeah,
and the everybody listening to this podcast right now, there's 18 people on here listening. The prices for food that we are paying for right now, you
go
have
start.
no idea
Yep,
what's going to happen this time next year. Todd, who's a farmer,
absolutely
goes, a bale of hay, just a bale of hay for my cows was $25.
right.
Now it's $100 for a bale of hay.
Yes,
I mean, when you take into account all the stuff that is shipped with transportation, which is
yep,
not
by
coming
truck.
through,
Yep,
gas production, which is decreased, and
right.
you need natural gas to be able to make the ammonium nitrate and the fertilizers. There's the natural gas has something in it that they use to build and make the fertilizers. And then, oh, by the way, the
Everything.
fertilizers we imported from Ukraine and Russia.
Yep.
What they call that stuff?
And you don't think we have enough in America to feed this entire same thing? Government regulation keeps that. Farmers are paid not to farm. I know that you probably know that.
Yeah. Well, it's two things are happening, right? So we're getting the oil. Well, three things. Oil shut down, so we can't
Yep.
even produce our own stuff. We're dependent on
Oil's going like
going.
crazy in West Texas. Drilling is going like crazy.
Yeah,
Like
but
it's
they're going over to Venezuela begging our enemies
right.
for oil.
Venezuela, Saudi Arabia. And
Yeah.
how bad is it? How weak are we when he won't even take the president of the United States phone call? How
Well,
bad is that?
yeah, it's President Cadaver. So, Walking Dead. But I mean, we
And you
can't
know what?
even
If
do
Trump
our
was
own
doing the
oil
same
here.
thing, I would be saying the same thing about him.
Yeah,
It's their policy.
we've
It's
we've
not
got the oil we got the oil policies and regulations screwing us here in our own country.
exactly.
We've got the fertilizer from the Ukraine and Russia. What
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the word. It's it was ammonium nitrate and almost it sounded
Right.
like urethra. Is it
Yes. Yep.
Not the
That's a
thing down
scam.
there, but
That's a scam.
Reefa,
Urea, you're talking about.
urea. Yes, thank you.
Use it for death. Yeah, that's a scam.
Yes.
And that was started
So
by Republicans.
yeah, so that stuff that we were getting, and then you look over in Taiwan. Why is China such a threat right now?
Right.
Because if they take over Taiwan, they make 90% of all the
Yes.
computer chips
Right.
in the world.
That's why they want it.
Oh my God. I
I mean,
tell
we're
you
so
what,
dumb.
we're so screwed. I mean,
Honestly.
if China cuts off all the supplies to Walmart,
Right.
the shelves will be bare. If we don't,
Yeah.
as these prices come in for fertilizer, the cost of transportation, the goods from the farms to the uh, distribution centers to the stores, that's going to triple. And that's
Right.
what Todd's telling me. He goes, your prices of what you're paying for is last year's prices or
Right.
food.
And it
This
takes a
time
while
next
for that
year,
to. It takes a while for to get that ball rolling, but that
yeah.
ball's already rolling, and
Oh yeah.
eventually it will hit the price market. You think inflation's bad now? You wait.
Oh, we're so screwed. And then if they take over Taiwan, the chips. I mean, if I was running against whoever's going to be going up, because it's not going to be Biden. I mean,
Right.
that guy's 1 foot from the grave. Whoever's going up against Hillary again,
He
or
forgot
whoever
who
they
he
put
forgot
up.
who his vice president with Obama was. Did you see that the other day?
No,
He
no,
said,
he's
"Yeah,
bad.
it's just I was just in shock."
But I tell you what, if Mitch Bell was president or king, this is what I would do. I would pull all production, all the guys that can make the chips. I mean, it can't just be Taiwan. I would
Yeah.
have all those companies that used to make chips but they outsource them to
Right.
Taiwan. I would build those companies here, the
Same thing.
infrastructure.
Why were those
And
outsourced? Because the government made it so hard to have a company in the U.S.
yeah.
because of regulations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd bring all that business back. Then I'd start making other stuff in America
And
so that
that's
we
exactly
can
what Trump was
get the
doing with
supply.
America
Oh, he,
First companies. That's exactly what he was doing, was
he's what
all that was lost.
people dislike the guy, and that's fine. Mean tweets, I'll take mean tweets over cheap gas any day. But as a
Any
military guy, you and I, when he told NATO to pay their fair share, I was like, yes,
yes.
those
Yep.
freeloading bastards sit
Because if it
there
wasn't
all
for
the
us, it
time
wouldn't
and
exist.
expect us to pay the money.
If it wasn't for us, it wouldn't. United Nations, same thing. If it wasn't for the United States, the United Nations would not exist because we pay the majority of that.
Oh, we pay for everything. Man, could you imagine if we turned the UN into low rent condos for AOC
Yeah.
and her crew?
Oh, good
Bring
Lord.
it on. Get rid of them. That would be an
It's
improvement
so
to
it's
having
so
those
backwards that
worthless
these people do not
parasites.
understand that. Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
I'm kind of getting off track, but Ronald says I can't see that happening. Can't see what, Ronald? I can't see that happening because people won't be able to eat. I'm not
Oh,
sure what.
this is a friend of mine from our PT group on Facebook, so I know Ronald. Yep.
Yeah, I don't because people won't be able to eat. You're absolutely right. People are not going to be able to eat. The
No,
price of food is just going through the roof. Linda says I have family that are farmers up in Wisconsin, and I
yep.
bet they too can attest to what's going on.
They can probably see it more clearly than we do.
Oh yeah, Tyrone Frost. This is waking me to such a bigger idea than what's being told to us by the politicians and news. I'm normally a positive person, but hearing this makes me pissed off, and to hear that it's going to get worse before it gets better is disturbing.
Well,
Yes,
Tyrone needs to understand too that the media is not telling you everything,
right.
or they can't tell you everything because I just don't think they see that from we the people, the side of we the people, and that's a big thing, because you and I, we live in the real world, we see it,
Yeah.
and we understand it. But these people that are somehow put in charge of us, they don't understand anything.
No. Well, I wish that we were in charge. I wish I wish that we could get some stuff fixed. And
But look at how the Republicans fought Trump at the same time.
Yeah.
Special interests, same thing with them. They would not forego their special interests to take care of what's most important, and that's the country.
Well, for the 4 years that he was in and the things that he accomplished with the VA and with production, I would say he was the best president in terms of policy and getting things done, and then
Yes.
making the world stand off.
Like I told you, I was not a big Trump fan when he first started. Is
Yeah.
he gonna? What could he possibly do? And then I had friends of mine. I wasn't in the VA system yet, but when I had friends of mine who were like, man, do you know that you can go to any person any doctor on a network and get seen now from? I said, I didn't know that, because otherwise you have to drive in Wyoming, you have to drive 200 miles to the nearest hospital. He made it where you could go to any hospital anywhere and get seen, and it would be covered. And that was huge.
A huge.
If a country doesn't take care of its warriors, what good is it?
Well, that's okay. We're taking care of the transgender warriors because that is important.
That is important because that's what China's worried about.
Yeah. And Russia.
They have enough. If they have enough representation in their ranks, it's just the military you and I grew up in, Mitch.
No, it's gone.
That wouldn't be allowed one day in this time.
Well, everybody out there who has a friend, because I've got Malcolm, I've got a bunch of people that voted for Joe. Boy, they even wrote his name in the front lawn, cut it out, go Joe or whatever. Whoever voted for President Biden and his policies, give him this just to let him know, because a year from now, I think we'll schedule a date, April 5th, 2023. Rob, we'll come on and we'll go back and I'll have some charts. We'll look at gas prices, oil prices in 2016, 2020, 2023.
Look at remember what Trump said in 2019 or 2020 during the debates? He said, President Biden comes in, there'll be $5-6 a gallon gas. He was
because he just flat out told the companies what he's going to do to them.
Yep. And when a politician says stuff like that, once again, you need to listen. And there's a lot of things he said, I'm like, that's not going to happen. Well, it did happen, and it is happening, which is just, it's not helping you and I. It's also making our national security is at stake. With the Biden releasing, have you seen a huge difference since he released the National Reserves? What is that National Reserves for?
That's for us, for strategic time of war, no gas.
That is all that SPR is for us and the military system to use in case of war. Now, that's been depleted at 1 million barrels a day, so 180 million barrels, all the way up to what, right before the election?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, I think gas prices have fallen maybe 25 cents.
Not less than that. It fell to sub 100 on Friday, and then back up to I think it's a 105. I get an email or a update every time the oil and gas market, because
I'm talking about the average price at the pump.
Average price at the pump. Well, it takes
around us.
It takes like 4 or 5 days for the price to catch up with the actual trading price of WTI, West Texas Intermediate Crude.
And have you heard anything from the oil companies? Has the administration that you know of approached the oil companies and said, hey, pretty please, we need you guys to do more production?
Not even a little bit. They're busy attacking them. And then you got these idiot politicians in Washington, both parties, saying, well, we're going to tax the oil and gas companies. Well, corporations don't pay taxes. They transfer that on to the consumer, you and I.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize. Because, you can have a lease all day long, but what if that lease doesn't have producible oil or gas underneath of it? You know how much it costs to drill a well?
No. How much?
Well, I'll give you an idea. A drilling rig day rate right now is probably around $75,000 per day. It takes weeks to get a well, depending on the formation, how deep it's going to be, where the pay zone is, if there's going to be a pay zone. Plus, there has to be money to come in to explore, find out, is that going to be a producing well? Is it going to be enough? Is it going to be cost worthy to drill this rig at the same time? No, $75,000 per hour is what a Flex 4 basic high-end drilling rig costs.
$75,000 an hour.
Yeah. and their day rates are huge.
And does that include the crew and all that?
That includes the crew, it includes everything.
So what
But
about fracking? Some of the fracking stuff. How did that come?
well, or hydraulic fracturing is what fracking is short for. That basically come out because the government made it so hard for them to drill conventional Kelly drilling, spin drilling, that they were trying to figure out a better, more environmental way, which fracking is. There are some dangers associated with that. There have been numerous studies done for this, but also those studies were slanted because they wanted to attack the actual process of hydraulic fracturing, because they didn't want to make it look like, but the government coming in. It's like the same thing with medical. Before the government got involved in the medical field and started destroying everything, and then they're like, oh, well, we got to come in, we got to take it over. Yeah, you got to take it over because you screwed it all up. The same thing is happening with oil and gas. They're trying to attack the companies. That way they can take them over. And then it'll be like, well, we have to fix this. Well, you're the one that screwed it up in the first place.
Well, the title of this was The Hypocrisy. And what made me giggle was old Al Gore. He invented the internet. So I used the interweb to look up some stuff about Mr. Gore, and did not realize that his dad worked as a lawyer and was on the board of Oxy.
That's right. Occidental Petroleum.
Occidental Petroleum.
That's where he made his money. That's how he got elected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, millions. I mean, Al Gore ended up inheriting the shares, and it said he sold them right away because he got attacked by the environmentalist groups.
But it was also extremely beneficial to him at a monetary point.
Oh, sure.
But I guarantee you he didn't divest all of it, because he still has to make money, whether he says he's for everything green or not. He's still flying around on a private jet. I mean, that's not flown by, it's not big sun and big wind. It's big oil that's keeping that jet in the air.
Yeah. That Gulfstream 5 or whatever he's in, tramps it around the world.
And I don't fault him for that, Taco. I don't fault him for that at all.
It's a business.
But don't tell me what I can do and what I can't do.
Yeah.
It's like, for some reason, on the other side of the spectrum, they want to tell you, okay, if you don't believe in oil and gas and you want wind and solar, well, be my guest. Do what you want. But this is America. You and I fought for the freedom. Our brothers died for the freedom for us to be able to do what we want to do and be free from a government that is telling us what to do. That is why we fought a revolution 240 something years ago.
Well, it's amazing the way that it's hidden too now, because, I mean, they want everybody to have an electric car.
Yeah,
not gonna happen.
And I've gotten in arguments with people with this before. They're like, well, oil and gas. I said, what's your phone made out of? Well, it's plastic. Where's plastic come from?
Petroleum.
I don't know. The store. I said, are you that dumb? It comes from petroleum. Well, why don't you ride a bike? Oh, well, that's fine. Where does rubber come from? Are you riding on steel tires? You're riding on rubber tires.
Yeah.
I said, everything in that bike is made from petroleum. Oh, you want to walk? Well, don't walk with shoes that have cushioning in their soles, because that comes from petroleum.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing.
Oh, everything. And then the wind farms, as a pilot flying over the United States, I look down 35,000 feet and I'll see out in the middle of nowhere easily 100 of these things out there just spinning around. And they say that the lifespan is about 20 years or 25 years per blade.
Right.
And the blades, you can't recycle them.
You can't recycle them. So you have to bury them.
You got to bury them. So where are you putting all these blades, that you have? And when I fly into Korea, or actually China, flying into China, they've got those solar or the wind farms out there in the ocean. I couldn't even imagine what the salt air corrosion does to those things.
Well, the ones we have in Wyoming, there's only a certain wind speed that they'll tolerate. Then they have to be locked out.
Yeah.
Because they'll freaking...
Yeah, just off.
And guess what? The wind blows in Wyoming. Kind of like I just figured out the wind blows in West Texas quite a bit too.
Oh, it does. Yeah, we get some good ones. The um, the batteries. I had a great piece that somebody had researched what it takes to build like a car battery for a
Right.
Tesla.
Oh, I have
And
something on this
all
for you too.
yeah, all the minerals and everything that we pull out of the ground that child labor and everything else, but all the minerals that we pull
Cobalt.
out of the ground, big
Yep.
giant holes in the earth in the
Yep.
crust to get
Cobalt,
these
lithium.
minerals, cobalt and to build the batteries that if you overcharge them, then they go bad and you got to replace them. You can't
That's right.
just fix it. Um, they say that some of the batteries some of the pieces out of the battery can be recycled. I wonder, but it's a storage device. That's all it is. So, what produces the power that you store in your electric battery in
Exactly.
your car? You
Exactly.
know, coal fire plant or nuclear.
Yep.
That's God, if they just went nuclear, I think they would go green. They should the advances in nuclear technology is in the
Well, you
last
know what's really
40
funny
years
about
is
that? Hunter
incredible.
Biden made a deal with several Chinese companies who sell what? Cobalt, lithium, rare earth minerals that he is getting millions and millions of dollars off of. And those are used to produce electric batteries.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how are those batteries charged?
Yeah. When you plug it in, we always talk about you probably did the same thing in the airplane. I am a molecule of fuel and I'm going
Exactly.
through the system. Take me through the system. Start from the pump. You
Yep.
start from the tank, you hit the pump, you go through the
Exactly.
elbow, you hit this, you hit the Gulf valve, and you get through that and into the
Yep.
main tank, blah, blah, blah. So if you were to trace a molecule of fuel or a electron
Hmm.
and you went backwards to charge your car, where did that exact power come from?
Come
What
from.
power grid and what
Exactly.
produces the power for that power grid to
Yep.
provide the power to your thing? Because I guarantee it's not the
It's not
little, yeah, not everybody's got the panels up on the roof that,
right.
you're locked into for 20 years.
Well, think
Um,
of what powers our military.
fuel. I mean,
Fuel, oil
yeah,
and gas. Our
oil and gas.
security in this country is dependent upon our resources, which we have copious amounts of.
Yeah, I'd like to see a battery powered M1 tank.
Yep.
Yeah, that might go about maybe 50 feet for its
Or
exhaust.
battery powered B-52 bomber or B-1.
Yeah, yeah, not going to happen.
I mean, these
Well,
people, these politicians, especially these Jen Psaki, she doesn't know a damn thing about energy production
yeah,
or how it even comes to be. But then again, she doesn't depend on it like you and I do.
yeah.
They live in this complete bubble that we do not. They have no idea what it's like out here. Maybe they do before, but they've forgotten where they come from. And not
Well,
just her. I'm talking about Republicans too. This is not a party centric thing. This is all the way across the board.
I tell you what, I think everybody, we talk about this sometimes, writing a letter. What good will that do? Well, I had two congressmen on my airplane last night flying up to DC,
Mm-hmm.
and I guarantee you that they get an airful from the average person when they're commuting back and forth unless they're Nancy Pelosi on a private jet. But
Well, notice that they're secluded from us too. It's like back in the day, back in the 1700s. What happened to politicians who voted against their constituents' interests? They were tarred and feathered. So they would
well,
see
that
them out in public, and they knew that they had done something. Well, obviously, that's not allowed anymore, nor should it be. But people knew that you voted against your constituents because I'll guarantee you that tar and feather didn't come off very easily.
oh no.
But
But
they
everybody,
they
everybody,
vote against our interests all the time.
everybody. I think if you started posting on social media in your local area,
Mhm.
uh, somebody said Wyoming only has a population of 600,000. It's not really
480,000.
habitable.
Yeah,
How many?
480,000.
480,000. It's not really habitable. Yeah, probably, but it's gorgeous. Um, if everybody
Hey, come
sat,
sometime, Taco. I got a place for you.
I'm coming. I'm going to go hunting. If everybody wrote a letter to their congressman and to their senator
Yeah.
once a week, I mean, literally once a week, post it on social media instead of, me posting my dog things. I'm going to start posting. Here's the link to our local congressman for our area
Yeah,
code,
exactly.
22205. I want everybody to write a letter to the congressman and start complaining, because you know what? I don't Twitter doesn't count, because Twitter is just an echo chamber of hate
Right.
that
Well,
AOC
who writes
trolls.
letters anymore?
Well, we
That's
need to write letters.
I
Everybody
agree.
needs to
I
write
agree.
a email or a letter with a
Well, they're
heartfelt.
insulated. They're insulated from us, and they do just the bare minimum. All of a sudden, when it gets close to election time, then they're interested in what you have to say.
True. But hey, you know what? Better start now, because
Right.
2022 is coming around the corner. And
Exactly.
if they get a letter a week from Mitch Bell and
Yep.
from Rob Todd
Yep.
going, "Hey, it's costing me, I cannot afford groceries. I can't do this. I can't do that." And you go in there and start sending these stuff, they're going to get it. And if it's not just 50 people, it's 100 people, it's thousands of people. You
Well,
might
look
as
at
well be standing in the streets protesting with a sign,
well,
and that will get their
just look
attention.
at what Liz Cheney's doing in Wyoming, Mitch. That's a perfect example. 82% of Wyomingites voted for Trump, and she's going against every single one of those constituents that she represents.
Well, she won't be for long.
She won't be for long. But if you look at that, that was once again, that's why we fought the revolution, because we had no representation. Well, we're in the same boat now. We're not being
Yeah.
represented. They do that for their own self-interest, and that has got to change, and it's got to stop.
You know what? Keep talking for a second. I'm going to find something that I got to send to the email and then post up.
Yeah.
It cracked me. All right, you know all those little "I did this" stickers
Oh
on
yes.
on the pay pumps,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I find very hilarious. Somebody had it was the actual owner of the store posted a thing that said, "Hey, all you people who are ripping these stickers off, don't.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't. Yeah, all right, I found it. Don't take these things off,
This
because
is
you voted
vandalism,
for
and
them.
you're on camera.
Yeah, you
Right.
voted for it, you get it."
Yeah.
And I think that's actually. I just found it. I'm sending it to myself. I'm gonna pull this up. This is gonna be funny, because it's do not take that Biden stickers off. If you voted for him, you should be proud to pay.
Proud to pay it. Exactly.
Damn Skippy,
Well, and
man.
like I told you, if Trump was doing this, I'd be saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You're screwing up. You are screwing this up.
Oh,
I
man.
don't care who you are. It's not party. It is policy.
Yeah, it's policy. I mean, and we're getting screwed in the end.
Big time.
How do you fix it? How do you fix a problem like Maria? You know, I just I don't get it sometimes. Everybody, if you're listening to me, do me a favor. Most people are just not that active in politics, and that's fine.
Hmm.
But if you start paying, $7 for a carton of eggs, you
You
better
are going
start
to
writing
remember.
letters. Here it is.
Yep.
Do not take off the Biden stickers. If you voted for him, you should pay
You are on
these
camera.
prices. Otherwise, do not rip them off. That's considered vandalism. You are on camera. Have you seen that? That's
Yeah, I sure have.
classic.
Yeah, I chuckled at that.
Yeah. Well, let's see what else. Got a couple things. Yeah. Rob was on my show last month. Bucket list.
Is that Cindy?
Yeah, that was Cindy.
Yeah.
Ronald, how will a new president reverse the damage? What
Open up
policies?
the gas
All the
drilling.
guy has to do is run on Trump's policies and not be like Biden, and he would win in a landslide, I think.
That's it. Well, you write to Ronald and tell him remove the ban off of federal land drilling, open up that pipeline, open up the Anwar in Alaska, which has got a reserve. I don't think we even know how much oil is there.
Yeah.
And on top of that, lower regulation. Also, that is going to, Biden's touting all these jobs that he's created. He hasn't created anything. This is a job that is renewed, is not coming back as a new job. It's being basically recycled because it was
Right.
already a job. But he's
Right.
taking credit for all those jobs coming back. when
Well,
they helped kill all those jobs.
let them. I mean, people are going to work because they're getting more money just sitting home getting Biden bucks.
Well,
You
guess
see the
what,
price increase.
Mitch? There's rigs standing in the air in Texas, in Odessa,
Mhm.
because they don't have enough labor to run them.
Well,
Because people would rather stay at home. I mean, I'm working 120-hour weeks
oh
and
man,
can't
that's
find people that want to work.
Bruce. Also, term limits for all senators and congressmen. That'll
He's
never happen.
spot on. And it won't.
Just like they vote themselves pay raises every year.
Yep. While
Uh,
we're suffering.
yeah,
Yeah.
power grids discussion exactly what we're talking about. Yep. So
I
you
know
know,
Sean.
yeah, a lot of America is not nuclear. Well, I wish we were. We've got a nuclear power plant not that far away.
All of the
And
power plants that we have close by at home, do you know where all that power goes?
hmm.
The people that attack us relentlessly, the East and the West Coast.
Oh
Without
yeah,
power, they'd either freeze in the wintertime or they'd
yep.
sweat to death in the summer. And that's what it's going to take for them to realize what it is those power grids do for them.
Tyrone, we have to be self-reliant country. We need to be able to make anything,
We saw it too.
feed everybody, oil, gas, etc. And what point we can sell.
Think about
any
we were a
production.
year ago, Mitch. We were literally energy independent,
Self-sufficient
self-sufficient,
and independent.
shut
Yep.
down at the swap of a pen.
Well, we got somebody from the UK. Ewan's biggest bunch of wankers. That's
Yep,
Keith.
yep,
Keith was a ferret driver, crewman back in
yep,
the day. Well, I'm telling you guys, pricing of food, Ronald, you're absolutely right. Food
yep.
is going to go through the roof next week, or I'm sorry, by this time next year,
Right.
not next week. And
Yeah, we haven't seen anything yet.
Megan, if you're still on, hey, nice break during the day. I hope you can listen. And if you can't, if you hear this, share it later because it'll be on there until YouTube or Facebook deletes it because they don't allow this kind of hideous talk, insidious talk, since we, can't go to, well, I guess we can go to church now. It's funny how the masks have gone away.
Isn't that funny?
Mask,
Just
COVID
automatically to
disappeared.
the left.
Yeah.
That's all
But
political. It's all about control, Mitch. It's
yeah, but
all
they're talking about the new COVID strain again and what they're going to have to do to combat it. And I'm laughing. I'm like, everybody's living their life right now. They're not going to go back to being muzzled with the face diapers. You guys better
not
pound
with a
sand.
fight. No. My
Yeah.
girlfriend's got a sweatshirt. It says the new COVID variant is called communism.
I
And
got to
it's so
get that.
true. It is all about control. That's all it is. And guess what? They're watching because they already saw what they were able to do before. If you don't think that they're watching that and knowing what they can get by with, because they keep pushing that envelope to the point where eventually, that's going to break. And
Yeah.
we people are pissed off and we're tired of it. This is not what you and I fought for. This is not what our brothers died for. I mean, you and I sacrificed our lives, our well-being. We put our names and our lives on the line to do what we could. Our brothers died for those freedoms, and
Well,
most
they're
of
all gone. They're
just
all gone in the name of profit.
all gone. Yep.
I mean, we got to be straight up about this. It's all a profit. It's a profit game. And what regulations the government, I don't care if it's Republicans or Democrats, put
Yep.
on a company, the bottom line for them is making the most money for the shareholders and
That's it.
themselves and getting bonuses and whatever. And if that means we got to ship it down to Mexico because we can get cheap labor down there, or ship it to China, or make iPhones in China,
That's it.
so that they can put their spy software in there and everybody has a spy phone,
That's
you
right.
know, then you're never going to get this fixed. And it's almost like Teddy Roosevelt, right? Walk softly, carry a big stick.
That's right.
I think we started to shrink our sphere of influence.
Well, think about what Ronald Reagan was: peace through superior firepower. You want to know why didn't Biden go into Ukraine after Crimea when Trump was in office?
You mean?
You know why? Because he would have gotten his ass kicked.
Did you say Biden?
Yeah. Why didn't
you
he
meant
go
Putin.
why did he wait till Biden was president to go into Ukraine? Because he took Crimea over.
Because he's weak.
Because he's weak.
He's a
That's
weak
it.
leader.
It's
He's a
simple. It is
inept,
really simple. You send a
weak.
message of strength, then it's like a wild animal. A wild animal's not going to attack a strong target. They're going to
Yeah.
attack the most vulnerable one. And our
And
enemies are watching this, and they're watching our Green New Deal and our freaking transgender military stuff, and they're just laughing. They're licking their chops because this is the time to take this country down, and it could happen.
oh, easily. I mean, if we have, it's going to be a domino effect as well.
It is
So the price of gas affects everything,
everything.
everything. And if
Food,
you can't get the trucks moving to get stuff to the store shelves,
right?
which increases the prices of what you have there, then they're going to make some profit and there's going to be some gouging as well. But when the store
Yeah.
shelves are bare, you remember beginning of COVID when they had the run on toilet paper of all
Yes.
things,
Oh, all
toilet
things.
paper.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Good time to invest in a bidet,
Yep.
All right. I'm going to tell a tall tale. I flew over to Tokyo. And in Tokyo, when you go up to the crew hotel, there are
Mhm.
these little modular bathrooms they put in there.
Yeah. I've
So
never
when
been.
they build the hotel, they just throw this modular bathroom in. It's a very small room anyway.
Right.
And I'm sitting there on the toilet reading my USA Today that I've already read like twice. And I look over on the side, speaking of bidets, and I look over it and I see all these buttons, but they're in hiragana, karagana, whatever kanji.
Right.
And I just start pushing buttons. And I'm like, ooh, well, I wonder what this does. And I see this thing, it goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30. It stopped at 35. And then I start pushing other buttons. And about that time, I push this button. I hear this motor, and it's got little symbols, little stick figures or whatever. And I
Thank
can
God there
hear
wasn't an
something.
injection seat.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, no, it wasn't an ejection seat because I was sitting there and I hear this motor from between my somewhere back behind me, and I'm trying to look down, see what the hell is happening. And about that time, this rod comes out and shoots 35 degrees Celsius water right up my bunghole. I
Jesus.
launch ejection seat,
Because
launch
it wasn't
off
an ejection seat.
the toilet. I am
Yeah.
pants down, so now I'm stuck half in, half out of this little bathroom, while the weight on toilet seat hasn't stopped, and so the water is
It's still
spraying
going.
over, and
Yeah.
I had this right up my butt, right up the crack of the small of my back, and it's still shooting water until it stopped. It felt no weight. Oh my God, word to the wise, never start pushing buttons in a foreign country that you can't do. But hey, we had the red on toilet paper. It made me think, I think I might get a bidet, but not one that goes to 35 friggin' degrees
35 degrees.
Celsius.
That's cold.
No, that's hot,
That is a
dude.
good morning
35
wake up
degrees.
call for sure.
Yeah, that's 35 degrees Celsius.
I remember when I was on board the America, we had a shower, but the shower was a one-shot deal. Like you had to hold the button to take a shower.
But you only got 3 minutes, right?
You
3-minute shower.
sometimes less than that. So you had to hold this. You had to soap your head up, and you had to hold that thing unless you could figure out a way to. And I used to take off the shower holds to hold it. But that water, a lot of the time, like during a heavy launching day, we didn't have any hot water because all the hot water was used for the catapult steam to launch the jets. So you have cold water, and you're holding it, and it's like 42 degrees. So you're taking a cold shower, and only a cold shower long, and Leakster will tell you this, long enough for that button to hold, which is about a second and a half.
Yeah.
So you had to hold it, and it was, now anytime you take a shower now, you don't have to hold a button. It's like a 5-star shower to me. But you talk about cold water shower, that's what showers are like on a steam-driven ship.
Well, 35 degrees Celsius is like 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh
hot
God.
water going up your
Yeah.
butt.
Yep. Yeah, that's hot water.
Oh my God.
I was thinking when you said 35 degrees, I was thinking 35 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm like, that's all.
Oh no. Celsius,
almost
dude.
ice.
Because it's Japanese, man. Celsius.
Yeah.
Yeah, gas out in California is $6 a gallon. And you know what? You guys out in California, Cindy, have got so many regulations anyway because they're a bunch of whack jobs,
Well,
wackadoodles.
that's all California Air Resource Board stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Garbage.
Now, I mean, they've got to process they've got to finally process their gas in a different manner than what I get here in Texas.
Yep.
Makes it more
Tons
expensive.
of oil and gas in California that's all been shut down. You will not find a drilling rig in
Yeah.
California anywhere ever.
Hey, there's Roosevelt image of a stick. That's in the corridor on Nimitz class nuclear carrier Roosevelt.
Yep.
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 Yeah, Bruce, sorry, man. I hope you weren't drinking coffee when I told that story.
That was funny.
Oh, dude, man, I got attacked by the Japanese, sneak attack. And you're right. It was an
On
ejection
purpose.
seat. It was a self-loaded ejection seat.
Yep.
Barack Obama may be an intelligent guy, but he really did make dumb comment after Anwar drilling.
It's because they don't understand. They don't
Yeah.
understand what they're talking about. They have no idea. You think Obama's ever been on a drilling rig, lash and
No.
chain? No
No.
idea.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's ever done an honest job in his entire life? No.
No. It's all coming out about his son's stuff too.
Yep.
Good on him. Bruce, we've given away almost all our manufacturing to overseas companies. You're absolutely right. Bring that manufacturing back home. Sam Walton's turning in his grave.
Yep.
The question is, Sam Walton probably opened up the entire China trade market to fund Walmart.
Yep.
Did he not? I mean,
that sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they were buying stuff from the U.S. when they could get it cheaper from China.
Well, think about these companies now that are enriching themselves at the sacrifice of America's security. Same thing. And it's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I don't know how we're going to change it, but let's make a date. I'll put it on my calendar. May of 2023 is going on my calendar and on my spy phone, and we will have another conversation to see how life is in America, what progress has been made to reduce regulations through the government on your industry, and how business is for you.
I mean, business should be booming right now in the oil and gas, but it's not. It's just steady.
Yeah.
It's not taking off. It's just plateau at $105 a barrel oil. Think about that.
Well, you know what? I mean, screw Saudi, screw the OPEC and all those guys. I mean, I remember as a kid, I'm 50, I'll be 57 in November. I can remember in the 70s doing that whole thing about that dance around the block, waiting, car shut down, everyone sitting there shooting the bull because you couldn't run your AC, so you're out. I remember
that was the
stuff.
worst last president, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
Produced all of that mess.
Yeah, I remember all that. Yep. People don't have a memory that far back, all these millennials and this Green New Deal, AOC.
Oh, they've been taught to hate their country from a very young age.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when their family can't afford groceries or they can't take that family trip.
That's usually when that ideology starts to falter, when they start to see it in real life, what it's actually.
Yeah, but the problem is we say it's almost too late.
Yeah.
Once that stuff's in progress, it's kind of like Obamacare. Once that stuff gets ingrained in there, it's
it never leaves.
It's white on rice.
Get dropped.
Yeah, you can't get it off. It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda, I remember the odd even days, odd even license plates. Yeah, the number on your license plate allowed you to go get gas that day.
Yeah.
Now
we're not far from that.
No, they're talking about right now odd days for people to be able to go drive. Well, wait a minute. There's no public transportation from my area to DFW Airport in Texas.
No.
How am I supposed to get to work? Go fly your dumb butt, up to Congress, or pick up some senator from New York and take them back to DC. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not your dumb butt. I'm talking about their dumb butt.
Yep.
Man, crazy. Well, dude, I don't know how we're going to fix it, but I can't thank you enough for coming and joining me on this discussion because you and I had that conversation.
Yeah.
This is important stuff.
It is. Well, it's not only for our quality of life, but at the same thing, going back to the security of the country, and what guys like you and I have fought for and our brothers died for,
Yeah.
it is all coming down to all of that is keeping this country safe. And we are at a perilous time right now.
Might be a little revolution in the air. I don't know.
Yep. Well, think about it. All great republics have fallen. We've been here 247 years.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. That public discourse is so great that they knock them out of office, and we don't have them, and their ideas get crushed.
Yep.
You know what everybody needs to do is make a sign that says something like, if you don't like your gas cost, your cost of living is horrible.
Yep.
Don't like your grocery bills.
Right.
Don't vote D.
Yeah.
Don't vote Democrat.
Because they're voting against your
Get them
interest.
out. Yeah. I mean, but then again, I'm not advocating just voting Republic. It's got to be based off the person. So
it
you
does.
could have a Democrat that actually stands up and has the balls to say,
and I would support them.
I'm not going to do it. I'd support them if they had the country's best interest and my best interest at heart.
Right.
Then I would support that too. But
it
doesn't have to be that. But right now, it's don't vote for the wackadoodles out there that are telling you you've got to drive I signed on for this Green New Deal and you need to drive an electric car.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of fossil fuels.
Yep.
Well, then how are you going to power everything, moron?
Yeah.
We're just two guys sitting here. We're just two guys sitting here shooting the bull, and we have no more power than anybody else. But you know what? A good idea can spark change. And if everybody made a sign, took it to the gas station, threw it in the window while they're sitting there getting gas, or every time they park, you know what? That's a great idea.
It is.
We can make window shades. We can make windows. Capitalism, right? We can make window shades. So when you go get gas, you throw that window shade up. When you go park in the Kroger's parking lot, put that window shade up.
That's a good idea.
It really is. Vote them out.
Vote them out.
God dang. Somebody else is going to steal that idea and make $1 million. Good. More power to them. How do you make that shade? Petroleum.
Yep. What's it made out of?
Yeah. Where's it made? Probably China.
Probably.
No. If I do it, I'm going to find
here in the United States.
Yeah, I'll find a manufacturer in the United States that'll make that son of a bitch for me.
Yeah.
And then I'll send one to every single member of Congress and Senate.
Absolutely, Taco.
I'm going to vote you guys out. You know what? If I was Donald Trump, anybody know Donald Trump, send him this idea to him, right? I did this window shades. Yes, exactly. Send this idea to Donald Trump or Elon Musk or who, Elon just dropped $2 billion on Twitter, which I hope he changes things.
Yeah.
But, tell him I just need, I just need $500,000. I'll get the window shades made and I'll be handing them out for free to people and just running around, and we'll have.
Elon Musk said on Twitter the other day, he said, we got to open up oil and production in the United States. And his company is
electric cars,
electric car company. I mean, that is character.
It is.
He's more concerned about this country and the well-being of this country than his own personal self-interest. If we had politicians act like that, this would be a lot.
Yeah, but Rob, you can't power his electric car without oil and gas making the power at the power plant. And he knows that.
He knows that. Right.
Yeah, because most people won't put the stuff up on the roof because it looks bad, and you're stuck in a 20-year contract. And then, oh, by the way, like a neighbor of mine, a doctor, has this giant windmill, and that thing, when the wind is blowing the right direction from the southeast, the sound carries all the way to my house, which is about probably a quarter mile away. It sounds like a damn osprey hovering over my house because that thing's out there going.
Yeah.
Well, one day I got to talk to him at a party, and I go, "Hey, Doc, man, I love that thing. How much power
in your house?"
Yeah, I love the sound of it as I'm sitting in my pool. It sounds like an osprey hovering over me. But I'm curious. how much electricity do you sell back to the grid? And he goes, none. What do you mean? He goes, the first inverter that we got broke, whatever
Yeah.
transformer rectifier, whatever they needed to convert the energy from the wind turbine.
Yeah.
So we sent it back to California. We got another one. Second one broke like 7 or 8 months later.
Yep.
And I said, well, are you sending that one back? He goes, no, because it's not in warranty and they're charging me thousands of dollars for this new thing. I'm like, screw those guys.
Yep.
So instead of feathering the blades, I wish he could feather the blades so it wouldn't spin. It's just out there spinning and it ain't doing anything. It's not producing any power at all.
Nope.
So
think about the kilowatt hour it takes to charge one of those electric vehicles too, off of your oil and gas power grid.
right.
And think about that.
Well, you could have solar panels and charge your car at night with moonlight, maybe.
Yeah. Well, eventually it'd be big. Eventually, when big oil's gone, they'll be pissed off at big sun and big air and big wind.
Yeah, we have another freeze like we did last year.
Oh yeah, remember that in Texas?
Yeah, wind turbines, they all shut down. We tried to
They all
go
shut down. They all
do all this
froze.
green stuff. Everything
Yeah.
froze. The
I didn't know
natural
it
gas
was that cold
pipelines.
in West Texas. It was. I left Wyoming. This was about a month ago. Left Wyoming. It was 20 below zero in Wyoming. I'm like, I'm kind of looking forward to getting down to Texas. I got down to Odessa. It was 20 degrees. Like that is freaking cold here.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was zero. I was like, Texas is not supposed to be cold.
No, it's bad. It was minus 14 when we had that deal, and we lost power for 4 days.
Yeah.
And if you guys, I wrote that. I had the podcast right after that, with not lights out. 1 second after about the EMP pulse.
Right.
And we talked about what would happen if we lost all the power grids.
Exactly.
And that really not that far out. I mean,
no.
And the only reason that we didn't go panic, that you didn't have mass looting and all that, was it was too frigging cold for people to go outside.
Yeah.
No crook is going to go out there 14 degrees. Well, first of all, there was no power, so nobody's at the gas pumps, right?
Yep.
I mean, I was driving around looking for gas, and finally I gave up. Nobody's standing there. Nobody's going to the stores because there's no power. But I guarantee you that if the weather was nice, then all the idiots are out there. That's when they're going to start robbing people and breaking into stuff and doing bad stuff.
Yep.
Mark my words. First day, people are going to be cordial. And by the second day and third day, that's when stuff gets
losing their freaking minds.
Oh, they would. They would. Yep. It's true, man. So if you're out there, do me a favor, start writing letters to your congressmen, senators. Just get it, post it on social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you use to talk to other people. And then I'm going to start looking at making those signs, the window screens. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And I could funnel all that money into a representative that is going to actually do something for us.
Exactly.
All right, brother. Well, listen, any other questions out there anybody has, feel free to pop it up. And if you got a question for him, I know we got off topic of the oil fields, exactly the oil fields, but there was something I was going to ask you about. This sounds stupid. We always talked about burning dinosaurs. We're out there burning dinosaurs as we're flying airplanes, especially like Leakster. When he's in full afterburner, how many dinosaurs he burned up. Yeah. What actually you're not a geologist, but have you ever looked into it? But what actually creates?
But I do know what fossil fuels are.
Yeah, what actually creates the oil? Is it replenished? I mean, the earth naturally makes this stuff and seeps up.
Exactly. Yeah, well, they call it fossil fuels, and it's fossil fuels for a reason. That does come from ancient. I mean, some of the rock formations that oil is found in is where like Paleozoic and I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've been in school, but you got Paleozoic eras, and then you have pre-dinosaur, or the time when dinosaurs, prior to them being extinct, is when all of those died. Well, all of those fossils are in those formations where the oil is actually formed. and that's why it's
Right,
called.
but it doesn't come. Yeah, it doesn't come from that. I mean, it's
No, it
something
doesn't
else
come
is
from them.
coming up.
Those sources are at those all of those fossils and all of that paleontology is in those oil formations or in those
Yeah.
rock formations that contain all the oil. And you
Well,
also notice anywhere there's mountains, um, a lot of the oil and gas in the Permian Basin, same thing, is based upon the formation into as you're climbing, like in the Rockies, starting in New Mexico. I mean, they go all the way to Mexico, but that
right.
is the formation of all that oil is what helps thrust the Rocky Mountains up. That's why there's so
Gotcha.
much oil and gas right there. That's the pocket that helped produce the Rockies. If you look at the geology of that area, and you look at the geology of Wyoming, I have a book on geology of Wyoming. Everywhere there's mountains, there's huge oil and gas deposits because that's what formed those mountains.
Hmm.
So I think it's so funny to see like Sierra Club is all about saving the mountains and saving the rainforest, saving this and that. Without oil and gas, there wouldn't be mountains for them to save, or they wouldn't be there to worry about. That's what those mountains is the pressure from oil and gas.
Yeah. Well, dude, we've run an hour and 16 minutes, so I'm gonna have to shut this down. But hang
Awesome,
on a second.
awesome, man.
I
Awesome.
appreciate you. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for coming on. We'll make
Thank
a
you
date
for having me
for
on here, Taco.
next year, 2023. We'll see what happens.
Can't wait to see you in May. We got to
Yeah,
get
May.
together while we're in Texas too.
Yeah, you know what? Paul just said that. Can't wait to see you guys in San Diego next month. Yep, I'm going to burn a couple thousand dinosaurs flying out there in an aeroplane to San Diego, and I will see you there, Paul, for sure. And Bruce had a good comment. Back in the day, all the stuff in Walmart was made in USA. Eventually, everything became made in communist China.
I'm starting to
Yeah,
pay attention to that too. If it says made in China, I put it down. I'll find something else. I never
yeah.
used to think about that.
Sam Walton switched to the China products when it became profitable. Walmart predated the opening of the Chinese market by at least a decade.
Right.
Yeah, true. All right, brother. Well, listen, man, I will talk to you soon. All right.
Great talking, Taco.
You too. See you. See you in May.
That's
Hoorah.
going to be the best.
Yeah. Hoorah. Out here. Well, hey, do me a favor. Seriously, I kid you not. Take the time, find out who your representatives are. I had two on my airplane last night. Very nice folks. One of them was from Tarrant County, and it was great seeing him. Gave him my card. Um, we had a little talks about stuff. So write your congressman, write your senators, take the time to do it because you know what? If you don't, if they start getting messages from everybody, do you think they will actually listen? And you know what? I bet you the answer is yes. Because when their political career is on the line and that's where they're making all their money, yeah, they're going to start listening. They're going to have to figure out something. And we probably need more people in office who are not politicians, but more businessmen so they can figure out how to get stuff done because we need to bypass all the red tape and bring this country back to where we were self-sufficient producing our own chips. They used to do it right down the street. That factory closed and the headquarters left. So produce our own chips that goes into all of our cars, our phones, our military equipment, our missiles, our planes, our rockets, everything, computers, everything. Produce that stuff here. Man, I'll tell you what, if Elon Musk could do anything, it would be open up a chip factory, and that would change this country. Then start looking at what's on the shelves of Walmart and then start finding companies and investing in those companies that they could actually provide the same product, maybe a little bit more, but the same product price wise, get it in on the shelves there. Then we start producing our own oil and gas and we take care of ourselves. And you know what? If those idiots over there in NATO want to get all of their gas from Russia, fine, bring it on. But if you're smart, you'll buy it from us and we could sell it to them because we're all NATO, not buying it from our enemies. I mean, God, the mission of the Marine Corps was to kill as many of the godless communist bastards and their subhuman immoral cohorts as possible with the least expenditure of munitions and to restore cave dwelling as a permanent way of residence in the former communist region. That's what we used to say all the time back in the 80s. And then they kind of became our friends. I don't understand it, but that's fine. I'm not looking to be best friends, but I don't want to have wars and stuff going on. Year from now, let's see what happens with the prices. Let's see if everything that they are not talking about comes to fruition. And when it does, I guarantee you will start writing letters. You will start putting stuff in your windshields while you're sitting there at the grocery store. And hopefully you won't vote people that come out straight up and say they're socialist or communist, um, AOC and the whole lights. Maybe they won't get voted into office because people will wake up. And it needs to happen, folks. Something needs to happen. I think we're at a tipping point, and I know I'm spewing madness and I get a little heated over this, but I don't want to see my kids in their lifetime get crushed. Anyway, until next time, which is, oh, by the way, tonight at 7 p.m., come join me when I talk to Andy and about his journey with his M1 Garand and the 300 signatures of World War II vets on this thing and all the stories that he collected. It's going to be a great time. Highly recommend it. You get a 2 for 2 Taco Tuesdays, and we'll see you then. Until next time in just a few hours. Adios, hasta luego. Sa wiedersehen, tschüss, shishini, au revoir, domo arigato gozaimasu, tano shinde kudasai. Ciao, arrivederci. Mahala. We'll see you.